Yo, it's your boy Double D, hanging out here alone in the studio today. Just got off work. I work overnights, and we're sitting in here. I'm doing this video because I want to talk to you guys about sobriety or getting sober. So July 1st, as of July 1st, I was 6 months sober. It's been a difficult journey for me. I'll be 7 months sober in August, and I just kind of wanted to tell you guys about my journey a little bit and tell you the struggle and like what sobriety has been like for me. So listen up. Growing up, I had a rough childhood, like a lot of us. If I know some of my subscribers, some of the people that are patrons on my Patreon, I know a lot of you guys have had similar struggles as I have. Either like, your parents weren't together, or you had an abusive parent, or your parents, were drug addicts or junkies or alcoholics, or maybe you had a loved one who passed away really young, or you were exposed to a lot of violent things or things you shouldn't have seen as a young kid, and you grow up a little bit. You kind of deal with it when you're a kid, and then you get into your teenage years and you start asking those big questions like, who am I? Even if you don't realize you're asking them, you're looking at the world around you, and you're starting to wonder it inside yourself. And, you look around your environment and you look at your history that you've had. You look at your parents' history and you start, realizing that it causes you pain. You start understanding like, oh, this isn't the story that I wanted, This isn't who I thought I was going to be, going into teenage years, being a young adult, I just wish I could have had a different story. And you start trying to hide from life. A lot of times it starts out fun. It almost always starts out fun. You're smoking a little weed with your friends. You're fucking drinking beers. Like, you got some fucking hillbilly at the outside of the 7-Eleven to buy you a fucking 24-pack of beer and your night's made. You're having a good time. You're chasing girls around with big asses. Just fucking living life. Being young. And we all have that. But for those of us that have had a rough childhood or have things that are broken inside of us, a lot of times that fun turns into escapism, and it stops being so much fun, And it's hard to say when it happened, how it happened. There's very seldom is there just one moment or event that happened when suddenly you realize you're getting fucked up all the time, not because it's fun, but because you can't bear to be with yourself. You can't stand to look in the mirror, or you're unwilling or unable to look back in your past and try to heal the things that happened around you or were done to you. And then suddenly you find yourself in this really dark spot where in order to go on with life, you have to medicate yourself. And medicating can take a lot of different forms, Smoking weed, drinking alcohol, doing blow, fucking people you don't know. Medication can take a lot of forms. That medicine that we take so that we can escape reality and so that we can feel okay for a little while. And like I said, you don't know how it happened or when it happened, but it happens real slowly. Suddenly you're sitting at the party or whatever, you're all fucking wasted the first hour in the party, and you realize, I'm not even having fun. I don't even like these people. Why am I here? And then the next thing you know, you're sitting at home getting fucked up by yourself. And that's kind of how my journey was. I teenager, young adult, just raising hell. Just living life, having fun, chasing girls, taking whatever I could get my hands on, just trying to have a good time, you know. But really, I was trying to forget my problems. For me, I've always been, you know, ashamed of where I've come from. Even though my family loved me, I'm ashamed of the mistakes that they made, the choices they made, ashamed of who they were, ashamed of being poor. And so in my case, I used alcohol to sedate those feelings, to, you know, make those self-doubts and that self-hatred be quiet for a little while. Because I'll tell you what, at least for a little while, when I'm getting all fucked up about 10 beers deep, you know, I fucking really love myself. I think I'm God. I don't know about any of you guys, but when I get a little fucked up like that, I feel like I'm the king on the throne. You know? And it started like that, and then, you know, I grew into an adult. I had my daughter, put myself through school, you know, making changes in life to try to not hate myself. But pretty quickly the stress caught up to me, you know, and then I started using alcohol as a medicine, like I said. Like, first it was so I could sleep at night, because I just had so much going on, you know. I was working 10, 12-hour days at this factory that I hated. After that, I didn't have a car at the time. I'd have to go and ride my bike that had a little cocoon on the back that I put my daughter in. I had to ride my bike across town to pick her up from daycare, put her in this thing, all matter of weather, and then ride it home. And then I had to sit down and do schoolwork for 4 to 6 hours while watching her until my ex got back. You know, and that was another thing. I didn't like the woman I was with. I made mistakes and had a child with this woman, and I didn't care about her. But I loved my daughter. And so I found myself using alcohol to cope with that and to deal with the stress. And then it became a reward thing. It became a thing like, oh, I've worked so hard, I've done my job, I've taken care of my family, I've done well in school, I can have some drinks, you know, and never too much, 4 to 6 beers. You know, years go by, I leave that woman, I met a new girl who's amazing. She's still in my life now. She's an amazing woman. She knows who she is. But I still had developed this problem with alcohol, and it started to whittle its way into me. And then it took another form. It started, you know, I started writing. I started coming into myself as a person and realizing I want to be a writer. You know, I want to be a YouTuber. I want to be somebody that does something creative with their life to make their living. And I read all these books like Hemingway and Fitzgerald and, you know, you name them. And they were all these chronically depressed drunks. And for the longest time, I told myself, or gave myself this image, like, in order to be a creative person, I have to be this alcoholic. And then still trying to put myself through school, still trying to raise my daughter. Not only was I using the alcohol for stress, now the alcohol had become a part of who I was. Meaning, the persona, and we all craft a persona for ourselves. Every day we get up, we think we are who we think we are. You know what I'm saying? We put up an image. We create an image for ourselves. Everything we do, we try to perpetuate that version of self, that ego. And the version of self that I created was what my heroes were, the greatest authors who I would give anything to be like, were drinkers, hard drinkers, chronically depressed people. And so I thought I had to be that way. So I internalized that. So like I said, no longer am I just drinking to medicate for my past problems that I didn't deal with. Not just drinking to cope with the stress of life. Now I'm drinking because that's who I am. And let me tell you, man, if you're at that point, you're in a really fucking dangerous spot right now. If you're at that point, you're walking the tightrope. It's a thin line between that and a series of bad things happening, and suddenly everything that you love and everything that you work for in life, you're on the fucking street. And you're that guy that you kind of snicker at, begging for change outside of the liquor store. I know you don't think that can happen to you, but if you're at the point where I was, where I had made alcohol a part of who I am, oh, I'm a drinker. I'm a heavy drinker because I'm deep and creative. If you're at that fucking point, man, you're in a bad spot and you need to get help right now. But I don't want this whole thing to be dark. I'm going to try to keep this short as I can anyway. I have a tendency to ramble. But I just want you to know, if you're in a spot like how I was, drinking 6, 12 beers a night, miniatures of cognac, drinking a fifth every night, you can get better, man. You don't fucking need that shit. There are things that you can do. You can go to AA. You can take a 12-step program. You can talk to your friends. Okay? The first thing you got to do is admit you have a problem. Right? That was the first thing I did, and I realized it. And it might take some time. It might take you some time to make those steps. But let me explain something to you, man. You don't fucking need that shit. That shit is not who you are. You don't need it to have fun. You don't need it to deal with your stress. It isn't who you are. Alright? And if you keep on this path like you are now, if you're anything like I was, going out every weekend, partying, drinking every night at home, if you're at the point where if you don't have a drink in your hand at the end of the night, you can't help but shake the feeling that something's missing, something doesn't feel right, I have some kind of anxiety, you're in a bad fucking spot, man. And it's time to wake up and be self-aware of what's going on. And it's time to seek out help and try to make changes. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, guys, I was really bad. I came so close to losing my job. I barely saw my kid. You know, I would come home and I'd drink. I don't even know how much sometimes. You know, bare minimal, a 6-pack every night. Sometimes 12 beers. Then I started getting into the liquor. Started using drugs again, maybe. And all the while, you know, I'd come home and I'd do this and I'd write. And I thought, this is what I got to do to be a great writer. But it just started fucking stealing my soul. It takes over your mind insidiously. You don't even realize it's happening. Suddenly, everything that you're doing isn't about because you want to do it or have to do it or this, that. It's so that you can have a fucking drink. And that's scary, man. And if you're there, you need to, like I said, you need to wake up and try to do something different. But I just want you guys to know you can do it, you know. I was bad. I just kind of told you my story of where I was at. I'm 6 months sober now, dude. My friends, my brothers. I'm fucking 6 months sober. And let me tell you something. I decided Christmas, I had one last hurrah with my family. Decided to get sober. I made my official date January 1st, even though I was sober a few days before that. Not only did I get sober, I started making steps to analyze myself, to be more self-aware, to face my inner problems head on. But not just that. Since I quit drinking, I had the energy and the focus to take on the physical problems in my life. I didn't have a license. I was 25 without a license or a car. I had never ever had one. I got my license. I got a car. I got out of my shitty ass apartment that was literally sinking into the ground with water damage. I moved into this fucking place that you see here now. It's a fucking lovely home. It's the biggest, nicest house I've ever lived in. I always come over and, you know, I tend to be a vain guy. I have people come over and I'm like, yeah, this is my palace. And I show people my fucking nice big fenced in backyard with the garden out back where my daughter can play. You know, just with that stuff, my life changed around completely. On another note, at the beginning of this year, I was already, or last year, my woman left me or whatever that I was with, that I'm with now, and that was terrible. And I had to work so hard. And because of this last year being sober, I worked so hard to do what I could to get her back into my life. And you know, she's back in my life now. And while she might give me the runaround a little bit, maybe doesn't want to make it official or whatever, I know when she looks at me in the eye, I know she fucking loves me. And she's in my life every day, and she helps me out so much. So there's that. You know, fucking got a license, got a car, got a new place, got my girl back. I don't know if you've ever broken up with a chick. If you have, you know how fucking hard it is to get a girl back. Damn near impossible, but I fucking did it, guys. Not only that, I started seeing my kid more. I just put in a petition and sat down with my daughter's mother and got a shared custody agreement. So now I have 50-50 custody of my daughter. No longer having to pay child support. No longer going a week or two without seeing her. So my daughter's in my life now, and I'm able to shape her and show her the world from my perspective instead of just her mom's. And I hope that'll be a good thing for her. There's even more. I got my fucking Patreon off the ground. I took all my writing that I did and all that drunken stupor and the times when I was sober, and I edited it all, and I've got almost 200 posts on my Patreon now. I put a year's work into it. It's still really small right now, but I'm making $100 a month off my writing. I wasn't making anything before. And look, I'm talking to you now with my fucking nice-ass podcast mics. Johnny and I are doing the podcast once a week. Going to keep doing it. We're going to have guests on. I've got good people in my life. I'm sitting here making this video in front of you guys right now. None of what I've achieved in this last, 3/4 of a year or whatever, half a year, would have been possible if I would have been drinking how I was. So I guess what I want to leave you guys with is go in the mirror after this fucking video. Go in the bathroom, take a look in the mirror. If you don't like what you see, go to your room and think about your fucking life. Think about the last few years of your life. Think about your last weekend. Think about the choices you've made for the last 5 years and how they've been influenced by drugs or alcohol. And then go back in the fucking bathroom and look in the mirror and ask yourself, like, is this who I want to be? If you have a dream, you want to be something, you have a goal, you want to start a family, you want to start a business, you want to do a podcast or a YouTube channel like I'm doing, you want to be a writer, a painter, I don't give a fuck what it is. If you're getting fucked up all the time, you're taking energy, you're taking bandwidth away from what you should be doing. Okay? I'm going to tell you right now, whatever it is you want to be, I'm fucking rooting for you. I'm in your corner right now. I'm in your corner. I got my hands on your shoulder. But I'm going to tell you what, you're going to fucking lose this fight if you're getting fucked up all the time. You're going to fail. If you want to be successful, it's time to get your head out of your ass. Your 20s, I know you tell yourself, I'm young, I'm supposed to party, I'm supposed to raise hell, I'm supposed to fuck sluts and run around and do all this shit. No, that is not what your 20s is for, my man. Your 20s is a time for self-growth, for self-awareness, for self-actualization, and it's about building the fucking foundation that you're going to rest your church on, and that the people in your tribe are going to come to. They're going to come to that church to eat, to sing, to dance, to fucking worship. That's what you're supposed to be doing in your 20s. You're supposed to be becoming the person that you're meant to be in your 30s and 40s. This is when you're supposed to be working. This is your prime time. If you're out getting fucked up every weekend, if you're wallowing in your own fucking filth and pissing the bed because you're drunk every night, you're not on the right path, my man. Anyways, sorry to get preachy. Sorry to go on a rant. But I've been wanting to make more content for you guys. Do something besides just a podcast. I want to try to step it up a little bit. Do more things like this. Maybe teach you guys some things about history or whatever I got going on. But I just want to encourage you, if you're having problems with drugs or alcohol, please get sober. Go to your family. Seek help. Go to an AA meeting. Take a 12-step program. Read a fucking book. Go sweat it out one day and just fucking do it. Just quit doing it. Whatever it is that's getting in the way of who you want to be, just fucking quit doing it. But anyway, guys, if you guys are liking the podcast, if you like this video, please help make my dream a reality. Subscribe. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like the videos. Go and watch my podcast. Like those. Share it to your friends. Hit that bell. Get that notification bell so the moment I drop a video, you can be the first one to watch it, first one to like it, first one to comment it. Guys, I appreciate all the support you've been doing for me. My patrons, you guys know who you are. You guys are helping pay my bills. You're making me feel like I'm an actual fucking writer. I appreciate that. Those of you guys that are just watching, maybe this is your first video, you want to check out my Patreon. It's patreon.com /double_D. Check that out. But all that aside, guys, mostly I just want you to look out for yourself. I want you to get sober. I want you to start making moves towards who you want to be. Stop making excuses. Stop fucking around. Do what's right for you and do what's right for the ones you love. All right, guys, this has been Double D. Take it easy. We'll be airing a new podcast hopefully Sunday or Monday night. Take it easy, guys. Bye.